Yeah, I mean, I think that just talking about mental health is just very important because we just kind of live in a world, in a society and generation where we feel like everything has to be gratifying right now. You know, like we got to be successful, we got to look good, we got to play good. There's no room for error. You know, we can't make mistakes in this generation. We got to be exactly where everybody else thinks we should be. And I think it's just having a toll on us mentally, right? Because it gets harder and harder because we're putting these unrealistic expectations on ourselves, and now we're starting to find ourselves depressed and anxious because we're comparing ourselves to what some people have and what other people have and what we don't have. And sometimes even when you do have those things, you think that it's supposed to make you happy, only to find out that we're still in search for something to give us that meaning of life or even make us happy. And the tough part just about this world and, like I said, this generation is it's not allowing us to be vulnerable, because when we are vulnerable, when we do talk about certain things, people use it against us. They laugh at it, they talk about it, they use it for whatever's necessary to fit their narrative or opinions, when there's real people that's hurting, there's real people that are looking for help and that need a safe place. And I just feel like for us just to be able to start this, is you got to be able to have a safe place and have somebody there to listen, but you can't just wait until somebody commits suicide. You know, you can't just wait until somebody passes away to say we got to start talking about mental health, because this is what we need to do. We need to take actions so those things don't happen. And I just feel like these are the necessary steps that we need to take to allow people to have that safe place. If it's not publicly, then we can have it privately.
Do you feel like that is changing though? That it is becoming more normal to talk about that stuff publicly?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's changing. I just feel like we're moving really, really slow. You know, like there's people that's just committing suicide and they have a whole bunch of life ahead of them. And it's just hard because everybody feels like they got to get to this place now. Like, I got to be married in my 20s. I got to have millions of dollars. I got to be successful. And it's just hard to keep up because at one point growing up, $1 million was a lot, and now everybody wants 10. You know, it's like it's ongoing and never stops. And at some point, we got to be able to take a step back and ask ourselves, who are we competing against? You know what I'm saying? Am I competing with other people? Am I competing with myself? Or am I just living life to be able to get to where I think I need to be? And I think that's just the hard part, is because, you know, sometimes we get on social media and we never even get a break. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are on vacation while other people are grinding. People's enjoying life while other people wish they have a chance to get to that point. And I just feel like just to be able to start that conversation and normalize things, be more realistic, allow people to understand that it is a marathon, but not only just saying that, but also being able to show them the realization of how much of a marathon it is. For some people, it's going to be a sprint because they get to certain places faster. But like when you're a kid, they say the tortoise won the race, right? Like, it wasn't the rabbit. Wasn't it the rabbit that raced against the tortoise? It wasn't the rabbit that won. And sometimes being able to take things slow, you end up winning at the end because you create this foundation and you build off of that foundation. And so for me, I can always look at it like, can I do more? Can I get more? Can I achieve more? Absolutely. But am I content? You know, when I look at my life, I feel like I've already won. And that's why I like that Rod Wave song. I was thinking about it today because, like, my dad played in the league for 7 years. You know, my uncle played in the league for like 3 before he went to play in Canada. I'm starting 8. You know, like when you have parents like your mom, your dad, they want you to be able to do more than they've ever done. And so when I look at like what I'm doing right now, it's like I've already won. When I look at where I grew up, I've already won. When I'm looking at what I'm achieving, I'm already won. So, like, who am I competing against? Am I competing for people to say that I'm a good enough receiver and I belong in this category? Am I competing with people to break records? Like, if I just take a step back, I can play less anxious. You know, I don't have to worry about people's opinions of what they think about me, or if I lost a step or missed a step. I can just enjoy what I'm doing, and that's when I could be my best.
Tyler, with Bobby and Russ gone, you've been here longer than anyone now. First of all, is that hard to believe? And is there some responsibility of leadership that comes with that, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you made me feel old when you say that. I mean, yeah, it's a lot different since Russ and Bobby is gone. You know, mentally, you feel like you got to step up. You feel like you got to fill in the gaps and those voids that's going to be missing. But, like, for me, I just try to continue to be myself. I don't try to put extra pressure on myself, because sometimes I can mentally put these blocks on myself to where it hinders me from being able to be my best. I feel like me and bringing myself to the table is enough to be able to help out this team and being able to have those conversations and get people routed up or whatever I got to do to be able to play. But I mean, you can't replace people like Bobby and Russ. That's just the truth. Like, they've always been great and they always will be great at what it is that they do. But the biggest thing I can say is that they're just being them. And so for me, that's all that I want to do. That's all I want to stick to is just be Tyler. Some days I'm not talkative. Some days I'm extra talkative. Some days I'm a comedian. Some days I'm super serious. But I just try to figure out how I can be the best at whatever today approaches and how I want to be able to achieve it.
Changes at quarterback, have you seen any differences as far as the scheme to fit the different skill sets, or is it very much the same from what it was a year ago?
I mean, there's going to be a lot of differences, I think. Just being able to understand football and understanding what we all have in the room and understanding what we're all really good at and what we all need to work on, all those things come into play during OTAs. I think you might see some mixtures. You might see a lot of things that are different. There's not really going to be a lot of things that stand out. I just think that right now we're just playing with a lot of stuff. We're doing a lot of things differently. I mean, you guys saw it today. I thought we had a really good practice today. And so we're just trying to build and just see how far we can be able to go. This is where you test limits. It's not about the mistakes that you make. It's not about the catches that you drop. It's about being able to test your limits and see how far you can go. That way the coaches have an idea of what we all can do as a whole. We have an idea of what we need to do and work on in the off season. So when we step into camp, we're already hitting the ground running and we rolling.
Early impressions on Drew Lock, the first couple practices you've gotten to play with him now?
I mean, I think he looks good. Y'all seen it out there. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think I should be asking y'all questions. I mean, everybody's been doing good out there. Like, we've been making throws. A lot of players have been making plays. I mean, you saw Fuller out there make a great route, great catch, took it all the way down to the 5, if not scored, if we were playing tackle. Everybody's playing phenomenal right now, if I could be honest. And, I mean, if you don't believe me, y'all the ones that are recording it, and y'all are the ones that are out there on the side seeing it. So, yeah, I think Drew's doing good. I think Gino's doing good. I think Eason is doing good. And, whatever happens is going to happen at the end of the day. But as a whole, we all want to be able to make sure that we're doing our part. And I think everybody's doing that so far.
To the offense, sorry, go ahead.
Does that feel different being in a situation where it's like a legit open competition at quarterback versus the rest of your career here was pretty obvious in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only time I've been in a situation like this was in high school. And in high school, we actually played with 2 quarterbacks the whole year. We did it a little bit my junior and senior year at Kansas State too. And, I mean, it always worked out. And so I think that it's something new, but it's something that's very interesting just to be able to see when it comes to that competitive nature, 2 people, 3 people being able to compete for a spot. We saw it when I first got here at receiver. We had lots of talent, loads of talent at receiver and loads of talent at DB. It was people at DB that didn't make the team that I was shocked when I was a rookie. And it's just that competitive nature that takes you to different places than just not having to be competitive, doesn't take you. And so I think it's just something that's new, and I think it's something that's very interesting, and I love to see it because sometimes we got to remember that this is a business, and business does want that competitive nature, and we do want that competitive edge, but being able to compete each and every day to sharpen iron and iron, I think that helps us build something like truly special.
Tyler, have you gone against Kobe and Tariq yet? What's your impressions of them if you have?
I haven't really gotten to go against them in practice, but I've gone against them and stuff like that in walkthrough, and I think they're pretty good, man. I think they're learning the plays. I think they're trying to find their way. That's what all of us try to do as a rookie. You try to pick and choose who to listen to, who to follow, understanding who has your best interest at heart. And I just think the more and more that they understand that it's not anything that's different. We come into the league and a lot of it is imagination. We have this big old picture of what it's supposed to look like, and we're all against all these amazing people. And until you start to realize, just all of us as a whole, that you can play. That's why you're here. We all can play. We all can compete. We all can stop the best. We all can beat the best. It allows you to be able to bring exactly what you've done in college to be able to help this team right when they need it.
Have you seen anything different out of Gino? I mean, you said everybody's playing really well, but obviously Gino, the last few years, his role was maybe a little bit different. Now he knows he's got a legit shot at being the starter.
His approach. Like, I mean, honestly, his approach isn't something that's changed even when Russ was here playing quarterback, but being able to have that chance to know that you can come in and you can be able to run the team, and him coming in OTAs, and I mean, he has that fire in his eyes. He has that look that he wants to be able to go out there and do great. He hadn't had a chance to be able to play in a couple years, and so when you had that opportunity right there in front of you, what else do you need? You know what I mean? Like, some of us don't really know what it's like to not be able to have that unless you've been hurt for a while, and then you come back and now you like, man, I love this game. I miss this game. I want to be able to still show that I could play this game. And so regardless of people who may have forgotten about him or anybody else, like, this is an opportunity that all of us wait for. Like, people was talking bad about me when I broke my leg. He lost himself. He's not this, he's not that. Like, after his first year, it took 2 years or 3 years just to get back, and that's not true. It just was opportunities. Once opportunities presented itself, that's when you take it and that's when you run with it. But people don't understand opportunities. Like, you might have not been given the opportunity to write a lot of stories, but when you finally did, look where you're at now. And so when you finally get opportunities to showcase what you can do, then people become a believer. Then people can really see what you bring to the table. But when you don't have that opportunity, it's hard to be able to show. It's just opinions.
How much more of the offense is installed right now than normal springs?
I think we didn't install a lot, to be honest with you. But honestly, I think we're able to do that because we've learned so much of the offense last year. It was different being able to learn it, trying to be able to adjust, being able to figure things out on the run. We weren't really here for OTAs and stuff like that, so we didn't have that time to be able to make mistakes and do all that different type of stuff. Now we're a year in. We understand what Shane wants. We understand what the coaches want. We understand where we need to get, why we need to get there, why we need to finish this route to get other people open. So I think that because we're a year in, we're able to install a lot of other things that we wouldn't have installed earlier in the season, like last year. And so I think that's also helping us, being able to understand the terminology, the lingo, understanding concepts, how to get open, when to be able to put an extra sauce on it, when not to be able to put sauce on it and just to run it regular, and it's helping us prepare.
For those of us who haven't seen Drew Lock for more than a day or two, what do you feel like he does well?
I feel like he could throw the ball. I was out here today. Like, I'm gonna keep saying it. Like, y'all was out here today, man. Like, he makes great throws. He feels like whenever you're in the pocket, I've never really had to be in the pocket. When I was in the pocket, I was throwing picks in high school. But he just has that type of calmness about himself to where he knows what he can do. He's making the throws regardless of where the DB is. He made a couple of really great deep ball throws last week before we had this break. And, I think he's adjusting really well. Being able to come to a new team, having to learn the plays, is different when you're a receiver having to learn the plays than when you're a quarterback. Like, when you're a quarterback, you're running the show. And so just to be able to be here for about, a couple of weeks now, like almost 2 months, I think he's done a really great job picking up the plays. We've been installing a lot of heavy stuff. He's been able to pick it up, run with it, and I think he looks really good.
You had built up such a great rapport with Russ over the years. How difficult is that going to be with a different quarterback now?
It's all about adjustments. I remember when I was training to be able to come to the combine, it was this dude named Kojo. He was like my receiver coach when I was with Athletes First, and he was like teaching me how to run like these speed outs and stuff. And I'm like, bro, like, this is not what I do. Like, this is not what I was taught. Like, I was taught to do it this way. And he was like, well, if you go to this team, he was like, this is how they tell you to run it. If you go to that team, this is how they tell you to run it. And when I had a workout with Indy, and one of the coaches wanted me to run certain routes, and he didn't like the way I ran it. Then I had a workout with the Patriots, and then they liked everything that I did. And so what that taught me was whatever team you go to and whoever you play with, you got to be able to learn how to adjust. And so it's the same thing. Like, I played with Russ for 7 years, so I had to learn how to adjust to be able to fit certain things to where it worked, to be able to understand how he thinks, how I think, so we can all be on the same page. And I'm sure he had to adjust to me as well. Then whenever you come in, and like we had Gino for like those couple of weeks, I had to be able to learn how to adjust and understand what Gino does great so I could be able to adjust my game as well. So everything is really just about adjustments and trying to be able to figure out what is it that I need to do and what is it that I need to bring and what is it do I need to let go in order to be able to allow us to be able to be successful together. And I think that's one of the things that I've had to learn early on in my career is there's some things that I couldn't do at here that I could do at K-State. I could freestyle, I could do whatever. But when you come here, like I said, sometimes you got to run the route. That's on paper. You can't really freak it and get open. But there's other times where they give you that freedom to be able to do that. And so it's the same thing regardless of who's at quarterback. You got to be able to understand how they think, how they throw, when they throw it, and be able to adjust and work out outside of that. So when I'm in the off season, I'm working out based off of the quarterbacks that we have. So whenever I'm running routes, I'm not about to be doing crazy stuff that I know I'm not going to be able to translate to the field. I'm going to do whatever works whenever it comes to us as a team and our quarterbacks and in our position as a receiver.
How's it feel to win an Emmy?
Oh, man, it feels great. Honestly, it feels really great. It's just hard to be able to celebrate it because we're still waiting for reparations. You know what I mean? Like, we're still waiting for justice. Like, as far as, like, the city of Tulsa that I grew up in, like, we can't even accept the fact that something happened. You know, like, it was swept under the rug. So it's just kind of hard to be able to truly appreciate it because there's 3 survivors that's still alive, that's still going to court, still trying to fight for justice, just to have the city say, we were wrong, we shouldn't have did that, here's your reparations. And until we get that, I can't really truly, like, shout for joy and be happy and walk around and say, man, I won an Emmy. Like, if anything, the Emmy makes me happy because we brought awareness to something that's been hidden so long ago. And the older that you get, you hear other stories about how things were happening in different places and it was swept under the rug. And so I think that just being able to bring awareness to it, I think that's something that is truly touching to me. And until we get reparations, it's hard to truly celebrate it.
On a much less serious note, but you got handed an award the other day by Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. And what did that mean to you?
One of them said I was small. So, but no, I mean, it was great, man. Just to be able to be a part of that. Even during my speech, I had told them, I think I was up for the award twice before this one and I didn't win. But you start to realize that I wasn't going to be able to appreciate it the same way that I appreciate it now. Because when you go through years of experience just to be able to play, you start to be able to understand it's not just about winning, but it's about being able to just grow through that. You know, I think that you can win and still lose. And I think there's times where you can lose and still win. It's just about how you choose to take it, and you got to be able to learn from it, and you got to be able to grow from it. And if you can't grow from something, then I don't want it. You know what I mean? And so for me to be able to have that chance to get up there and talk and get up there, I could have just said any speech and how thankful I was and stuff like that. But sometimes I just feel like you got to speak from the heart. You got to be honest, because there's a lot of people who feel like, man, I want to win that. I want to win that. And I just want people to know that you're already winning. You know, like, you just got to be able to understand, who are you looking towards? Are you looking ahead of everybody in front of you, or are you looking at everybody that's not as fortunate as you? And based off of where your perspective goes, that allows you to be able to understand if you're content or if you're chasing. And so for me, I want to be able to stay content because I feel at my best when I'm content. But at times when I do find myself chasing, I still want to be able to learn how to be my best when it comes to that. But sometimes chasing leads to the mental health stuff, the anxiety, the depressions, the worries. Like, I can't tell you how many times I get nervous, like, am I going to drop the ball? Am I going to drop the ball? Am I going to drop the ball? I think about that a lot, only for people to say he didn't have any drops this year. He dropped 2 balls the first game, or, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as long as I'm trying to get better, it's okay if I drop a ball, you know? And so I have to do reverse psychology sometimes to myself and say, it's okay if you have a bad day. You know, it's okay if bad things happen. It's okay if, you know, I don't want to get too much in detail, but it's okay if things take place that you don't want to take place. It's okay if they cut you. You know, it's okay if these things happen. And the more and more that you start to become okay with it, the more you start to be free from all these things that you're placing on yourself that are somehow considered chains rather than leverage or something to push you forward to achieving something as you're being present within yourself.